Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello. It is Friday morning, the 27th of January, 2023. And this is not a New Year's resolution per se, but it is a desire of mine this year to be more intentional about, journaling, vlogging, doing these recordings. I think what has happened is lately, maybe in the last year or two, just having to go through life, I sometimes, feel like, I don't even know if the right word is feel. I just sometimes forget or don't think or don't remember. It doesn't cross my mind. Oh, let me jump on here and dictate or narrate rather the things I've been going through, especially when you're having a tough time. Sometimes it's hard to for your mind and your spirit to be open to just being free to share. But I think this is part of the process. And in fact, I know this is part of the process. When I look back at some of my journals, when I was first saved, for the first, I'll say maybe from 2005, 2006, through about 2009 or 10 or 11, for about 5 to 6 years, there was continuous journaling. It wasn't maybe every day, but it was enough to fill 5 journals, big journals, of just me sharing the good, the bad, and ugly of my journey, of my life. And when I look back at those the journal entries, even though some of them made me cringe, like, wow, dude, you were really going through it. But it allows me to have a perspective that in the present sometimes I miss, because I'm not, my eyes are so into what's happening now, my focus, as opposed to seeing the entire story. So reading those journal entries, especially the tough times, allows me to see the growth in my journey. It allows me to see where I came from. Allows me to see that God has always been with me. Allows me to see God being with me even in the darkest moments of my life, of my season, where I really, I try to put myself, enter those feelings again. It's hard to, sometimes it's when you've gone through something and, you've gone through it and passed it, you remember the situation, but the feeling and the pain of it no longer is there. That's how you know you've healed completely. Our brains will not forget what happened, but the sting, the hurt, it doesn't open up a scar. It doesn't trigger your emotions. That means that your spirit, because it's your spirit is whole. Your mind, your brain still remembers the events, the facts of what happened, but your spirit, the essence of who you are, is not hurt from it any longer. So when somebody brings up that you used to be this or the third, or that somebody did this to you, or that you did this, it doesn't hurt so much. There's no shame, there's no guilt, there's no pain associated with it. So for me, it helps me also see the growth and the healing that God has brought me through. Especially when I realized that in those moments when I was going through that season, man, I was out. I was in and out, man. I was out. It was dark. And it gets dark sometimes, but reading these journals let me know that if I made it past that moment, I'll make it past this moment. So fast forwarding to this moment, the 27th of January, 2023, I've put in some entries this year. But really, guys, the reason I believe I'm where I'm at now, because in the journey it's gotten really dark. Of course, 2022 was a year of death all around. I lost 3 family members: my dad, my sister, and my unborn child at the end of the year. It started with death, ended with death. And in between, there were other things that died: passions, hope, dreams, plans. God really it was just a season of death. The book of Ecclesiastes tells us there's a time for everything. And it sounds so cool. We read that during funerals, and it makes sense. It makes sense to read that. But when you're actually going through it, you're like, oh, it doesn't just make sense. Like, this is real. And it helps me to, again, gain perspective. And so there's a season for everything. There's a time for everything. In nature, there is. And we being of nature, we being created, we are part of creation. And creation has seasons. And like Ecclesiastes says, there's a time to be born. There's a time to die. There's a time to plant. There's a time to uproot. It's just a cycle of life. And so this past year, 2022, my family and I entered into a cycle of uprooting, a cycle of death. But as we all know, if you keep going through that cycle, after death comes rebirth. It's just a cycle of life. When something dies, then it grows again. A cycle of life. Life finds a way. But in order for life to transform to the new phase, the old phase must die. Whether it be an idea, whether it be a thought, whether it be a plant, whether it be even like a baby, in order for the baby to enter the new phase, the baby must essentially, quote unquote, die to being in the womb. It must exit the womb, and that is a death in itself. An exit is a death. You're exiting something that was life to you, the womb that supplied life to you. And when you exit that stage, that level, you come out crying because literally you've died. But you've died from the womb only to be born again out here. I say born again, but to us, you're just born for the first time. But to that baby, I've been alive since 9-10 months ago. I just haven't been alive on this stage, on this level. I had to die to my old life in order to come to this new life. But this new life, it's an elevation, it's growth. And so after the season of death, after the season of exit, after the season of transition, you must go to a new level, a new place. And so last year was our season of death, exit, transition. So my belief is that this season, there will be life, new life. I don't know what that looks like, maybe physically, but more than physically, man, I need it spiritually, mentally, holistically, health-wise, definitely financially. So yeah, I want life all around, because last year was death all around. So this year, everything must grow, everything now double, except wife and husband. Everything now double. So but for me, it's been a struggle. This year has been a struggle. And I think the struggle is leaving that last phase and coming into a new phase. You're new to this phase. Even if this phase is an upgrade, but you're new to it. When a baby comes out of the womb, that's an upgrade. You actually have a new sense of life. Like, you get to experience life in a new environment, an environment where you can actually grow to reach your full potential. You can't reach your full potential in the womb. But when you come out to this new environment of elevation, of growth, you're a baby. You're starting over. You're crying. You don't know anything. You need mommy and daddy to feed you and to supply your needs and take care of you. You don't know anything. You're the lowest man on the totem pole. Like, you're new to this. You need help. Everything when it's born freshly into a new scene needs help. You've graduated. If you go from junior high, 8th grade, when you knew all there was to know about middle school, and then you graduate, get elevated to a higher stage called high school. Yeah, in high school, you're a 9th grader. You're the baby. You're the freshman. You're fresh. So you need help. So this season, I need help. I feel like I don't even know anything about this whole thing. And so this season has been tough for me because I'm trying to find my footing. I'm trying to find my voice. I'm trying to cry. Not I'm trying to cry. I feel like I'm steady crying to God. Help, help, help. Like, I'm not as strong as I thought I was, because this new level is an upgrade. So even though I've matured, but I've matured to a new level where I'm a novice. I'm straight green. I'm fresh. I'm a freshman. And so I'm finding my footing. So be patient with me, man. Be patient with me. Pardon the dust. But there's some construction being done. And I'm new to this level. There's a sense in my spirit and in my mind and just all of me. It tells me that something new is happening. The spirit has confirmed it. But I'm too... It's almost like I'm still recovering from the exit for the transition to actually start, like, trying to focus on something new. I'm just being still. I'm trying my best to just be here, because I don't know this level. Just like I didn't know the last level. Just like I didn't know the last level. But I'm just practicing, especially from experience, past experience, being still. And allowing God to do it. So I don't frustrate myself. But it's not easy. I found that I've gone back. I don't even know the word is gone back. You know, I believe there's, again, seasons for everything. There are times when you need rain, and there's times when rain is too much and the plant needs the sun. In a time when the sun is too hot, and if it keeps burning, if it keeps beaming down on a plant or a flower, it would die. So in that case, that life needs something different. So in each stage, we need something different. It doesn't mean that the thing we have being taken away was bad for us. It just means that for this moment in time, in this season, you need something else. And for me, there was a season last 2 years, I want to say, where my experience with weed, which is probably one of the things that I really desire or love, just because of what it does for me, spiritually and mentally. It's probably the only thing that can really just shut my mind off and let me be still. And it's and my experience with God when I smoke is, it's up there. It's unrivaled. A lot of my moments of clarity has come when my mind has shut up, stopped talking, stopped planning, stopped thinking, and let the spirit speak. And when I smoke, the spirit speaks. But I believe there was a time, a season, the last 2 years, that God was saying, okay, for now, you're not going to need this. And for whatever reason that was, we let it go. But I almost find like a release now that I can use it. But it's still different for me because it's kind of like, am I supposed to be using it? But I feel even in asking that, God has confirmed to me that it's okay. But, you know, I'm still learning this thing, y'all. I'm still learning. I'm not in a position to judge anyone else. I'm doing my hardest, dude. I'm doing everything I can to be still and listen to God. I say I don't always succeed, but you know what? It's not about my success. It's about God's love and grace for me. When I give Him what He's given me, I just give it back to Him. And a lot of times, I give back to Him is not even, doesn't even measure up to what He's given me. It's a percentage, just like a tithe is. Where God will allow you to produce 100-fold, but you're only giving 10% back. Yeah, I give God what He's given me, but it's never enough. So I'm always feeling like I can never fully repay God. So that's why I say, God, I need your grace and your mercy. Because there's nothing I can offer to you that meets what you've done for me. So thank you. And this season, that's all I'm going off of. God, here I am. Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O Lord. That's my prayer. That's it. I want to be accepted. Not accepted because I am enough or because I'm perfect or because I've done the right things. Because God looks at me and I'm like, man, that's my man. He's always on point. No, I want to be accepted as a human being that's frail, but a human being whose heart, whose desire, whose innermost desire is after God. I want to be accepted as a man after God's heart. I literally am seeking after God's heart. But in my years of experience with God, I realized that it's not so much about what I do, but my relationship with God. God will work on what I do, but even Him working on what I do, my human nature will always be around. So there'll be times when I slip up. Even there'll be times when I don't interpret what He's saying correctly, and I go and do things on my own, which that means I'm turning from the left or the right of what He's called me to do. Not on purpose, really. A lot of times that happens with me, like trying to serve Him. So I've seen myself make mistakes. I've seen myself not hold up my end of the bargain. I've seen myself have to apologize to people and God and continue to mature and grow. And whenever I thought I was over something, I've seen myself fall victim to a temptation that was like, dude, you come on, man. There've been moments and seasons of strength, moments and seasons of weakness. And that's what I'm giving to God. All of that, my entire life. Not just me going to church, praying, doing all the minutes. It's my entire life, who I am. Like the dark sense of me. This is what you have. Like it's a marriage. This is what you're marrying. And I'll do my best to love you and serve you. But I'm letting you know you're marrying a gangster. You're marrying a thug. You're marrying a hoodlum. You're marrying a prostitute. You're marrying a sinner. You are marrying somebody who's from the dirt, the mud. Are you sure this is what you want? And God says, yes. I chose you before you chose me. I love you before you loved me. I knew you before I formed you. And I set you apart. I love you. So I'm just leaning in on trusting in God's love and letting Him be God. I'm going to do what I do to serve Him. I'm going to do what I do when most moments of weakness come. Where my desire and my communication, the meditation of my heart, and the words of my mouth will always be about Him. No matter what. He's all I think about, y'all. When I'm doing good, He's who I'm thinking about. When I'm doing bad, He's who I'm thinking about. When I feel guilty, I'm thinking about Him. I'm talking to Him. That is where my heart is. And that's where my treasure is. So I'm just praying that God accepts me as I am, accepts my family, and grow us to where He wants us to go. In Jesus' name, amen. Be easy, y'all.